The Alpha's son had been dead for 7 minutes when I walked into that room, heart silent, lips blue, 694 healers standing around his corpse like they were waiting for someone to tell them it was okay to leave. I counted them. All 694. That's what you do when you're trying not to look at the dead boy on the bed. The encrypted message had found me 3 days ago in the fishing village where I gutted salmon for a living. Come. He's dying. You're the last hope. No signature. No explanation. Just coordinates and a plea that smelled like desperation. I should have deleted it. Should have gone back to my rented room above the bait shop and pretended the Silvercrest pack didn't exist. That I hadn't been born there. That they hadn't rejected me, cast me out, and made sure every pack from here to the coast knew my name came with a warning label. Lyra Ashwood. The Omega with the cursed touch. But the message had come through channels only one person knew. Channels I thought I'd buried along with everything else from my old life. So I came. The Silvercrest territory looked exactly as I remembered, towering pines, mountain air so clean it hurt, and a pack house built from stone and timber that had stood for 3 centuries. I'd been born in the healer's wing. I'd taken my first shift in the eastern woods. I'd learned to use my gift in the very room I was walking toward now, back when people called it a gift instead of a curse. The guards at the door didn't stop me. They just stared, their faces going pale like they'd seen a ghost. Maybe I was one. The Lyra who'd left this place 5 years ago had believed in her power, in her purpose. That girl was dead. The grand healing chamber opened before me, and the smell hit first, herbs, sweat, fear, and underneath it all, the copper tang of death circling the drain. The healers filled the space like a sea of failure. They stood in clusters, sat slumped against walls, knelt beside tables covered in abandoned remedies. I recognized some faces. Others were strangers, specialists brought in from distant packs, witches with their crystals, shamans with their smoke. Every healing tradition in the supernatural world had sent someone. None of it had worked. The boy, Ezra Silvercrest, I knew his name from the message, lay on a raised platform in the center. 19 years old. Dark hair, sharp features that would have been handsome if they weren't slack with death. His chest didn't move. His skin had the waxy quality of meat left too long in the cold. The whispers started the moment I crossed the threshold. That's her. The cursed Omega. She killed Maya Thornweather. Killed her while trying to heal her. Her touch rots instead of heals. I kept walking. I'd heard it all before. Said it to myself in darker words during longer nights. A woman stepped into my path. Head healer Isadora, her silver hair pulled back so tight it stretched her face into a permanent expression of disapproval. She looked older than I remembered. Tiredness lived in the lines around her eyes. You. Her voice could have cut glass. You have some nerve showing your face here. I was invited. By whom? She moved closer, and I saw her hands trembling. Fear or fury, I couldn't tell. Who would be fool enough to summon you? Before I could answer, another woman materialized from the crowd. Luna Morgana Silvercrest. Ezra's mother. The last time I'd seen her, she'd been screaming at me to get out, to never come back, her face twisted with grief and rage as they carried Maya Thornweather's body past. She looked worse now. Hollow. Like someone had scooped out everything that made her human and left just the shell. Remove her. Morgana's voice was flat. Dead. Remove her, or I'll do it myself. Luna, Isadora started. She killed a child under her care. A child who came to her for healing. Morgana's eyes finally found mine, and I saw no recognition there. Just emptiness. My son is not an experiment. He will not be another name on her list of failures. The room had gone silent. All 694 healers watching. Waiting. I don't want to be here, I said quietly. But someone asked me to come. Then they were wrong. Morgana turned away from me like I was already dismissed. Isadora, escort her. No. The voice came from the doorway. Deep. Commanding. The kind of voice that made your wolf sit up and pay attention even if you didn't want it to. Alpha Kiran Silvercrest entered the chamber, and the crowd parted like water. He was bigger than I remembered. Broader. Gray threaded through his dark hair now, and new scars marked his arms. He looked like a man who'd been fighting a war he couldn't win. His eyes found mine, and something passed between us. Recognition. Memory. Regret. She stays, Kiran said. Morgana whirled. You can't be serious. Our son has been dying for 3 weeks. We've exhausted every option, called in every expert. Kiran moved to the platform, placing one large hand on Ezra's cold forehead. 716 healers have tried and failed. What's one more? One more who kills instead of cures, Isadora hissed. Then he's already dead, isn't he? Kiran's voice broke on the last word. His heart stopped 7 minutes ago. His wolf has been gone for days. There's nothing left to lose. The silence that followed was worse than the whispers. Morgana stood frozen, staring at her mate, her son, then finally at me. If you hurt him, if you do to Ezra what you did to Maya, I will kill you myself. Alpha's mate or not, cursed Omega or not. I will tear you apart. I know, I said, because what else was there to say? Kiran nodded once. Do it. I approached the platform on legs that felt like water. Every eye in the room tracked my movement. Every breath held. I could feel their fear, their hope, their hatred pressing against my skin like a physical thing. My hands were shaking when I pulled off my gloves. The scars covered my palms, my fingers, thin white lines that crossed and recrossed like a map of all my failures. Maya's face flashed through my mind. 13 years old. Brought to me with a fever that wouldn't break. I'd tried to heal her, pushed my power deep, searching for the source of her illness. I found it. A poison. Slow acting, deliberate. But by the time I understood what I was seeing, my power had spread too far, touched too much. I tried to pull back, but it was like trying to stop a river with your hands. Maya had convulsed once, twice, then gone still. They said I killed her. Said my touch was death. They weren't wrong. Lyra. Kiran's voice pulled me back. Whatever happens, you tried. That's all I'm asking. I placed my scarred hands on Ezra's chest. The effect was immediate. Power roared out of me like I'd opened a dam, golden light mixed with threads of black, swirling around the platform, around the boy, around me. The temperature dropped. The air crackled. Somewhere, someone screamed. The healers were thrown back, bodies flying like leaves in a storm. Tables overturned. Crystals shattered. The stone walls groaned. And Ezra Silvercrest's eyes snapped open. Not brown. Not gold like a normal werewolf. Silver. Impossible, burning silver. His hand shot up, catching my wrist in a grip like iron. His mouth opened, and when he spoke, his voice sounded like it was coming from somewhere very far away. You, he rasped. You're the one from my nightmares. The woman with death in her hands who keeps calling me back. The golden black energy pulsed once more, then vanished. Ezra didn't let go. And I couldn't look away from those silver eyes, eyes that saw something in me I'd been trying to hide. Something I didn't understand myself. Who are you? He whispered. I opened my mouth to answer, but no words came out. Because I didn't know anymore. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. The silence after Ezra spoke lasted exactly 3 seconds. Then chaos. Healers scrambled to their feet, shouting over each other. Kiran was barking orders. Morgana had collapsed beside the platform, her hands reaching for her son with a mother's desperate need to confirm he was real, alive, breathing. And Ezra, he was still staring at me with those impossible silver eyes, his fingers locked around my wrist like he was afraid I'd disappear if he let go. Let her go. Kieran's command cut through the noise. Ezra blinked. Looked down at where he gripped me. His hand opened slowly, reluctantly, and I stumbled back, cradling my wrist against my chest. His touch had been cold. Not the cold of death, but something else. Something that made my own power coil tight in my gut like a snake recognizing a predator. What did you do to him? Morgana's voice cracked as she ran her hands over Ezra's face, his chest, checking for injuries that weren't there anymore. His eyes. I don't know, I said, because it was the truth. Ezra sat up slowly, like his body was remembering how to move. The healers swarmed the platform, checking vitals, muttering incantations, but he ignored them all. He was looking at the crowd, and something was wrong with his expression. Horror. Recognition. Grief. You're going to die in a fire, he said to a young healer on his left. The woman froze. 37 years from now. You'll go back into the burning building for your grandson, but the floor will collapse. The healer's face went white. What are you? Isadora started. And you? Ezra turned to an older shaman. Peacefully. In your sleep. 3 months and 6 days. Your heart will simply stop. His silver gaze swept the room, and wherever it landed, people flinched. You. He pointed. All of you. I can see it. I can see how you're going to die. The chamber erupted again. Healers backing away. Someone crying. Morgana was shaking Ezra's shoulders, demanding he stop, but he wasn't looking at her. He was looking at me. But not you, he whispered. When I look at you, all I see is darkness. Like you don't have a death. Like you're not supposed to exist. My throat closed. I wanted to run. Should have run. But Kieran was suddenly there, his massive presence blocking the doorway, his eyes meeting mine with an expression I couldn't read. No one leaves this room, the Alpha commanded. Not until we understand what happened here. They quarantined us. Not officially. Kieran called it observation. But the guards outside my door and the enchantments sealing the windows told a different story. The room they'd given me was in the north wing of the pack house, far from the main living areas. I recognized it. It had been a guest suite once, back when the Silvercrest pack had welcomed visitors. Now it was a cell dressed up with furniture. I sat on the bed and stared at my hands. The scars looked the same. Felt the same. But something had changed when I'd touched Ezra. I'd felt my power move differently, like it had been redirected instead of just released. Like something had channeled it, shaped it, made it do what it was never meant to do. Heal instead of harm. Except I'd never healed anyone in my life. Not really. A knock. Then Kieran entered without waiting for permission. Alpha prerogative. He looked exhausted. The kind of tired that sleep wouldn't fix. He's stable, Kieran said, crossing to the window. Every test we've run shows he's healthy. Healthier than he's been in months. But those eyes. I didn't do that. Then who did? He turned to face me. What happened in there, Lyra? I shook my head. I placed my hands on him. My power activated like it always does, uncontrolled, destructive. But instead of killing him, it brought him back. I don't understand it any more than you do. Isadora wants to examine you. Run tests. She thinks you're hiding something. I'm not hiding anything. I'm just as confused as everyone else. Kieran studied me for a long moment. I need you to stay. At least until we understand what's happened to Ezra. If he's bonded to you somehow. He's not bonded to me. He asked for you 6 times in the last hour. Won't let anyone touch him except his mother. Says everyone else's death marks are too loud. Kieran's voice roughened. Whatever you did, it changed him. And until we know if it's permanent, I need you here. It wasn't a request. Fine, I said. But I want access to your archives. If someone poisoned Ezra, there'll be records. Symptoms. Precedents. Kieran's expression sharpened. Poisoned? You said his wolf retreated. That doesn't happen naturally, not in someone so young and strong. Something forced the separation. I stood, pacing to the window. The view showed the eastern woods where I'd trained as a young healer. When my power touched him, I felt it. A residue. Something oily and wrong wrapped around his life force. What kind of poison could do that? The kind that's been illegal for 200 years. The archives were in the lowest level of the pack house, carved into the mountain itself. Kieran gave me access but assigned 2 guards to watch my every move. I ignored them and dove into the records. It took 4 hours of searching through dusty journals and crumbling texts before I found it. Wolfsbane Requiem. The entry was brief, written in old script that was hard to decipher. But the symptoms matched: gradual weakening, the wolf's retreat, eventual severance of the bond between human and animal that ended in death for both halves. It had been used in blood feuds. A way to torture enemies by making them watch their own wolf die slowly, trapped in the same body. The creation process was detailed, and horrifying. It required the essence of a wolf who died separated from their human. The grief and agony of that unnatural death was distilled, concentrated, weaponized. Someone had done this to Ezra deliberately. Someone in the Silvercrest pack. I was copying the relevant passages when I felt him. A presence at my back that made every nerve-ending fire. You should be resting, I said without turning. Can't. Ezra's voice was rough, still recovering. Every time I close my eyes, I see it. Death. Everyone's death. It's like the world is just a countdown timer and I can finally read the numbers. I turned. He stood in the archive doorway, wearing loose clothes that hung on his frame. He'd lost weight during his illness. But those silver eyes were alert, burning with an intensity that made me want to look away. He didn't have guards. Apparently, they'd decided the Alpha's son didn't need supervision. The visions will fade, I said, hoping it was true. Your mind is adjusting to whatever change happened. Will they? He moved closer, and I noticed he walked carefully, like his body wasn't quite his own yet. Or is this permanent? A gift from the woman who brought me back from death? I didn't give you anything. I don't know what happened. Liar. He stopped 3 feet away. Close enough that I could see flecks of blue fighting the silver in his irises. You know exactly what you are. What your power does. You're just too scared to admit it. My hands clenched. You don't know anything about me. Don't I? His head tilted. I've been dreaming about you for months. Ever since the poisoning started. I'd wake up seeing your face, covered in blood, standing in a graveyard with your hands pressed against the earth. You were crying. And you were calling something. Pulling something from the ground. Ice slid down my spine. That's not possible. I painted you. He pulled a folded paper from his pocket. 3 months ago, when the dreams started getting worse. I didn't know who you were then. Just that you were important. That I needed to find you. He handed me the paper. I unfolded it with shaking hands. The sketch was rough but unmistakable. My face. My hair. My scars. And around me, shadowy figures rising from dark earth, shapes that were almost human but not quite. Their mouths open. Reaching for me like they recognized their master. What is this? I whispered. I was hoping you could tell me. Ezra took the drawing back, his fingers brushing mine. The contact sent a jolt through me, not painful, but wrong. Like our skin touching completed a circuit that shouldn't exist. He felt it too. I saw his sharp inhale. This bond. You feel it. There's no bond. You're a terrible liar. His voice dropped lower. I can feel you. Even when I can't see you, I know exactly where you are. Your fear tastes like copper. Your anger burns. And right now, you're terrified because you recognize something in that drawing. I stepped back. You need to leave. Why? Because I'm right? He followed. Because you know what you are and you've been running from it? I said leave. Make me. He was close enough now that I could feel the cold radiating from him. Use that power. Show me what you really are. Unless you're afraid you'll accidentally save me again. My power stirred, responding to the challenge. The scars on my hands began to burn. Ezra. The voice from the doorway was sharp. Luna Morgana stood flanked by Isadora, both women radiating fury. Step away from her. Now. He didn't move. Didn't even look at his mother. Did you know about the poison? Morgana's face went pale. What? Wolfsbane Requiem. I held up the text I'd been reading. Someone's been dosing him with it for months. It's the only thing that explains his symptoms. And it's the only thing that would sever a wolf from their human like his was severed. Isadora snatched the book from my hands, scanning the pages. Her expression shifted from anger to horror. If this is true. Someone tried to kill me. Ezra's voice was flat. Someone in our pack wanted me dead. And they almost succeeded. Morgana was shaking. Who would? Why would? That's what we need to find out. Kieran appeared behind his mate, his presence filling the archive. But right now, I'm more concerned about what happened during the healing. Isadora, you've examined Ezra. What did you find? The head healer's mouth pressed into a thin line. Nothing natural. The bond between his wolf and human should have been irreparable. The damage was too severe. But it's not just repaired, it's stronger than before. And these eyes, this ability to see death. She looked at me with open suspicion. This is not healing magic. This is something else. What are you implying? I asked. That you didn't heal the Alpha's son. You changed him. And I want to know how. Isadora moved closer, her gaze calculating. I've been researching your past. The patients you helped before Maya Thornweather. 3 of them died within weeks of your treatment. All showed the same symptoms, drained, weakened, as if something had pulled the life from them. I know, I said quietly. I've carried their names for 5 years. But you never questioned why? Isadora pressed. Why your healing killed instead of cured? Of course I questioned it. I've questioned it every day since. Then question this. She pulled out a small vial filled with black liquid. This was extracted from Ezra's bloodstream during his coma. Recognize it? I stared at the vial. The liquid moved wrong, sluggish and thick. What is it? Life essence. Pure, concentrated life force. Isadora's voice was cold. And it's not his. According to our tests, this came from at least 7 different sources. All of them dead. The archive went silent. That's impossible, I breathed. Is it? Or is it exactly what you've been doing all along? Isadora stepped closer. You don't heal, Lyra Ashwood. You steal. You pull life from the dying and transfer it to your patients. That's why they die, you drain them eventually. And that's why Ezra lived. Because this time, you had enough death in the room to draw from. No. But even as I said it, pieces were clicking together. The 7 minutes Ezra had been dead. The 694 healers in the chamber, many of them elderly, weak from trying to save him. The way my power had felt different, like it was pulling from all directions. You're a necromancer, Morgana whispered, horror written across her face. You traffic in death magic. I'm not, I didn't know. Ignorance isn't an excuse. Isadora held up the vial. This is proof. You've been killing people for years, probably without even realizing it. You're a parasite. A leech feeding on the dying. Ezra moved between us. Enough. Your Highness, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. His silver eyes swept over them all. She saved my life. Whatever the method, whatever the cost, I'm alive because of her. And until we find out who poisoned me, she stays. Under my protection. You would protect a necromancer? Morgana's voice cracked. After what they did to your grandfather? After what that magic cost our pack? I would protect my mate. The words dropped like stones into still water. Morgana swayed. Kieran caught her. Isadora's face went blank with shock. And I couldn't breathe. No, I managed. We're not. Ezra turned to face me, and there was something ancient in his expression. Something that recognized me on a level deeper than choice. Yes. We are. I felt it the moment I woke. The bond snapped into place like it had been waiting my whole life. I'd been rejected before. I yanked up my sleeve, showing the burned scars that twisted around my forearm. Marks from the rejection ceremony. I won't survive it again. Then it's good I have no intention of rejecting you. He held out his hand. I don't care what you are, Lyra. Necromancer, healer, cursed Omega. You're mine. And I'm yours. That's all that matters. Everything matters, I said. But I was staring at his hand. At the choice he was offering. Ezra, this is madness, Morgana pleaded. She's dangerous. Unstable. She could kill you. Someone already tried that. She's the reason they failed. Ezra's hand didn't waver. Choose, Lyra. Stay and help me find who's trying to destroy my family. Or run, and spend the rest of your life wondering if you could have saved us. I looked at his hand. At the scars on mine. At the vial of black liquid that represented every patient I'd ever failed. I'd spent 5 years running from what I was. Maybe it was time to face it. I took his hand. The bond flared bright enough that everyone in the room flinched. It felt like lightning and ice, like drowning and flying. It felt like recognition. It felt like coming home. This is a mistake, Isadora said. Maybe it was. Probably was. But I was tired of running. They found the body 3 hours later. Healer Cassandra Moonwhisper, age 47, specialty in energy work. She'd been one of the 694 present at Ezra's resurrection. According to the guards, she'd gone to her quarters to rest after the chaos of the healing chamber. She never woke up. I stood in the doorway of her room, unable to move, unable to look away. Cassandra lay on her bed, eyes open, mouth frozen in a scream. Her skin was gray, desiccated, like every drop of moisture had been pulled from her body. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the handprints burned into her throat. Black marks seared so deep they'd charred the flesh. 5 fingers on each side, perfectly placed, unmistakable. Isadora held my hand up for comparison. The scars matched exactly. Explain this, Kieran demanded, his voice deadly quiet. I couldn't. Because I didn't remember. Didn't remember leaving my room, walking through the pack house, finding Cassandra's quarters. Didn't remember killing her. But the evidence was right there, burned into her dead flesh. My handprints. My scars. My death magic. I didn't, I whispered. I swear, I didn't. Then who did? Morgana's voice was like shattered glass. Who else has hands that match those burns? Ezra stepped forward, his silver eyes examining the body with an intensity that made everyone else back away. He was quiet for a long time. Then he looked at me, and what I saw in his face made my blood freeze. "You were right," he said softly. "You are dangerous." The bond between us pulsed once, cold and accusing. And I knew, in that moment, that I'd just lost the only person who'd believed I could be more than a monster. "Lock her up," Kieran ordered. "Until we understand what's happening, she's too dangerous to move freely." The guards moved forward. I didn't resist. What was the point? The evidence was clear. The body didn't lie. I was exactly what they'd always said I was. A killer. A curse. Death wearing skin. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 3. The holding cells beneath the pack house smelled like old stone and regret. They'd put me in the deepest one, behind silver-reinforced bars that hummed with enchantments. No windows. No light except for the torch burning in the corridor. The guards changed every 2 hours, always in pairs, always armed. Like I was something that needed killing. Maybe I was. I sat on the narrow cot and stared at my hands. The scars seemed darker now, more pronounced. I kept seeing Cassandra's throat. The black handprints burned into her flesh. The perfect match. I didn't do it. I repeated it like a prayer. Like if I said it enough times, it would become true. But memory was a slippery thing. And I'd blacked out before. Lost time. Woken up in places I didn't remember going to, with blood under my fingernails I couldn't explain. That's why I'd left the Nightshade Pack. Why I'd spent 5 years hiding in human towns, working jobs that didn't require me to touch anyone, to use my power, to risk hurting someone else. And now I was right back where I'd started. Locked up. Accused. Waiting for judgment. Footsteps echoed in the corridor. Multiple sets. Angry voices. Want her dead. Abomination. Should burn her like they burned the old necromancers. The voices faded, but their hatred lingered like smoke. I pulled my knees to my chest and closed my eyes. Tried to find that quiet place inside where my power lived. Maybe if I could understand it, control it, I could prove I wasn't a murderer. But all I found was darkness. And in that darkness, something moved. Something that recognized me. Something that whispered mine in a voice older than mountains. I jerked back to awareness, heart pounding. The thing inside me was getting stronger. Hungrier. Maybe they were right to lock me up. The trial was scheduled for dawn. 3 days away. Enough time to investigate, Kieran had said. Enough time to prove guilt or innocence. But the pack had already decided. I heard them through the walls. Felt their fury pressing down like a physical weight. They gathered in the great hall above the cells, their voices rising in a chant that made my wolf whimper and retreat. Death to the cursed one. Death to the necromancer. Blood for blood. I'd heard it before. Different pack. Same hatred. The door to the cell block crashed open. I was on my feet before I registered moving, power flooding my veins, ready to fight or die trying. But it wasn't a mob with torches. It was Ezra. He looked worse than he had in the archive. Dark circles under those silver eyes. His hair uncombed. He was wearing the formal clothes of an Alpha Heir, black jacket with the Silvercrest crest embroidered in silver thread, but they hung wrong on his frame, like he'd dressed in a hurry. The guard straightened. "Your Highness, you shouldn't be. Leave us." His voice carried the weight of command that came from being born to lead. Alpha Kieran said no visitors. And I'm telling you to leave. Unless you'd like to explain to my father why you defied a direct order from the Alpha Heir. The guards exchanged glances. Then withdrew, though I could feel their presence just beyond the door. Listening. Watching. Ezra approached the cell. stopped a foot from the bars. Close enough that I could see the exhaustion carved into his face. Far enough that I couldn't touch him. The bond hummed between us. Painful. Accusing. You think I did it, I said. No. He gripped the bars. But I needed everyone to think I had doubts. Needed them to believe the evidence was working on me, turning me against you. I blinked. Why? Because the real killer is watching. Measuring reactions. And if they think I'm weak, think I'm conflicted, they'll get sloppy. His silver eyes met mine. I know you didn't kill Cassandra. Something in my chest loosened. How? Because I can see death, remember? I touched her body. Read the marks. He pulled something from his pocket. A sketch, rough and quick. The handprints weren't made with living hands. The energy signature was wrong. Cold. Necromantic, yes. But not yours. I moved closer to the bars, studying the drawing. He'd captured the handprints in detail, with notes scrawled around the edges. Residue pattern suggests force channeling. Death magic borrowed, not generated. Secondary caster. Someone copied my handprints, I breathed. Someone with access to you. To your power. To your signature. He folded the sketch away. Which means someone in this pack can manipulate necromantic energy. And they're framing you for murder. Why? That's what I'm going to find out. He reached through the bars. Stop just short of touching me. But I need you to tell me the truth. All of it. Starting with why you were really rejected by your first mate. My throat closed. Ezra. I can feel your fear through the bond. Can feel you running even while you're standing still. His voice softened. I'm not going to reject you. But I can't protect you if I don't understand what we're facing. I stared at his hand. At the choice he was offering again. Trust me. I'd spent 5 years trusting no one. It had kept me alive. Kept me alone. Maybe it was time to try something different. I sat on the cot. He lowered himself to the floor on his side of the bars, waiting. His name was Marcus, I began. Alpha heir of the Nightshade Pack. We knew we were mates from the moment we met, that pull, that recognition. I was 17. He was 20. It felt like fate. Ezra said nothing. Just listened. His father, Alpha Donovan, had been sick for months. Some kind of wasting disease that no one could diagnose. Marcus asked me to try. Said my healing gift was stronger than anyone's he'd seen. I laughed, but it came out bitter. I was so stupid. So confident. I thought I could save him. What happened? I laid hands on Alpha Donovan. Pushed my power deep, searching for the source of his illness. And I found it, a curse. Ancient. Woven into his bloodline generations ago. It was eating him from the inside out, had been his whole life. The only reason he'd lived as long as he had was because it fed slowly. I pulled my sleeves up, showing the rejection scars. I tried to remove the curse. Pulled it out of him thread by thread. It took hours. By the end, I was exhausted. But he was breathing easier. Color had returned to his face. Marcus was crying, thanking me. Calling me his miracle. He survived the healing, Ezra said quietly. For 3 days. Then the curse rebounded. Or maybe it was my power, I still don't know. But Alpha Donovan started screaming. Said he could feel death inside him, clawing its way out. He died in agony, begging Marcus to make it stop. I met Ezra's eyes. They performed an autopsy. Found my energy signature wrapped around his organs like black wire. Strangling him from the inside. Marcus rejected you. In front of the whole pack. Said I'd murdered his father. That I was cursed, corrupted, dangerous. I traced the burn scars on my arm. The rejection ceremony took 6 hours. They wanted to make sure the bond was completely severed. That I couldn't contaminate their bloodline. Ezra's expression had gone cold. Dangerous. And you ran. What else could I do? The Nightshade pack wanted me dead. Word spread. Other packs refused to take me in. So I went to human territory. Changed my name. Pretended to be a lone wolf who'd lost her pack to rogues. I laughed shakily. I was good at pretending. Almost convinced myself I was normal. Until Kieran's message found you. Until someone decided I was worth risking. I looked at him. Why did you ask for me? You didn't know me. Didn't know what I could do. I told you. I'd been dreaming about you for months. Ever since the poisoning started. He shifted closer to the bars. At first, they were just nightmares. You standing in a graveyard, surrounded by corpses. But then they changed. I started seeing you differently. Not as death. As balance. Like you stood between the living and the dead, holding both worlds apart. That's not comforting. It wasn't meant to be. It was truth. His hand slipped through the bars, palm up. An offering. Your power isn't wrong, Lyra. It's misunderstood. And whoever killed Cassandra knows exactly what you are. They're trying to turn the pack against you before we can figure out why. I looked at his hand. At the trust he was offering despite everything. I took it. The bond flared warm. Not cold like before. And in that warmth, I felt his certainty. His conviction. He really didn't think I was a monster. Thank you, I whispered. Don't thank me yet. He squeezed my hand. The trial is in 3 days. We have until then to find the real killer. And I'm going to need you to trust me. Can you do that? I can try. Good. He stood, still holding my hand through the bars. Because what I'm about to do is going to make everyone very angry. What are you? The cell block door crashed open again. This time it was Kieran, flanked by 4 guards and looking ready for war. Ezra. Step away from the prisoner. Ezra didn't move. No. That wasn't a request. And I'm not a child. Ezra's voice carried an authority I hadn't heard before. I'm the Alpha heir. And I'm invoking my right to demand a full investigation before judgment is passed. Kieran's expression darkened. The evidence is clear. The evidence is fabricated. Ezra released my hand but didn't step back. I've examined the body. The energy signature on those handprints doesn't match Lyra's. Someone is framing her. Or you're too blinded by the mate bond to see the truth. The mate bond is the only reason I can see clearly. Ezra moved to face his father. I know what she is. What her power does. And I'm telling you, she didn't kill Cassandra Moonwhisper. Then explain the handprints. I can't. Yet. But I will. Ezra's silver eyes flashed. Give me 3 days. If I can't prove her innocence by then, I'll step aside. Let the trial proceed. And if you're wrong? If she is guilty? Then I'll accept the consequences. Ezra's voice was steady. But I'm not wrong. Father and son stared at each other. The tension in the room was thick enough to choke on. Finally, Kieran spoke. 3 days. But she stays locked up. And if one more person dies? They won't. Kieran turned to leave. Stopped. You're staking your position on this, Ezra. Your future. If you're wrong about her, the pack will never accept you as Alpha. I know. Kieran left without another word. Ezra waited until the footsteps faded. Then turned back to me. Get some rest. Tomorrow, we hunt. Ezra. I gripped the bars. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't risk everything for me. Too late. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Besides, you're my mate. What kind of alpha would I be if I didn't fight for you? A smart one. Smart is boring. He headed for the door. Paused. For what it's worth. I don't think your power is a curse. I think it's a gift that no one's bothered to understand. Including you. Then he was gone, leaving me alone with his words and the first spark of something I hadn't felt in 5 years. Hope. I woke to screaming. Not the angry chanting from before. This was different. Panicked. Terrified. I was on my feet, pressing against the bars, trying to see into the corridor. Guards ran past. Healers. Someone was shouting orders. Another one. Same marks. While she was locked up. My heart stopped. Another murder. The cell block door burst open. Ezra appeared, followed by a woman I'd never seen before. She was tall, muscular, with Kieran's dark hair and Ezra's sharp features. She moved like a warrior, all predatory grace and controlled violence. Lyra Ashwood? Her voice was clipped. Military. Yes. I'm Kaya. Ezra's sister. And we have a problem. She held up a tablet showing crime scene photos. 2 bodies this time. Both healers. Both with black handprints burned into their throats. Both identical to Cassandra's wounds. When? I asked. 20 minutes ago. While you were locked in this cell with guards posted outside. Kaya's eyes were sharp, assessing. Which means you're innocent. Or there are 2 killers. There's 1 killer, Ezra said. And they just made their first mistake. What mistake? I asked. They got greedy. He pulled out his phone, swiping through files. I'd been investigating the victims. Cassandra Moonwhisper, specialty in energy work. Darius Thornblade, specialist in blood magic. And now Helena Mistwalker and Quinn Shadowgrove, both experts in ancient necromantic theory. They all contributed knowledge to save you, I said, seeing it. They were part of the 694. More than that. Kaya took over. We pulled the logs from the healing chamber. These 4 healers specifically. They each provided key information about necromantic healing. Information that wasn't in any textbook. Information they'd researched independently over years. Someone is killing them for what they know, Ezra finished. But why? I gripped the bars harder. What could they know that's worth killing for? That's what we're going to find out. Ezra nodded to one of the guards. Open the cell. The guard hesitated. Sir, Alpha Kieran said. I don't care what my father said. Open it. Now. The guard looked at Kaya. She nodded. The cell door swung open. I stepped out slowly, half expecting it to be a trap. But Ezra just held out his hand. Come on. We have work to do. They took me to Cassandra's quarters. The body had been removed, but the death lingered like a stain. Don't touch anything, Kaya warned. Just look. Tell us what you see. I moved through the room carefully. It was small, neat. Books stacked on the desk. Herbs hanging from the ceiling. A half-finished cup of tea on the nightstand. But underneath the ordinary, I felt something else. A wrongness. Like reality had been bent here. There. I pointed to the bed. The energy is concentrated there. Where she died. We know that, Kaya said impatiently. No. Not just where she died. Where the killer stood. I moved closer, following the thread of wrongness. They stood right here. At the foot of the bed. And they reached out with both hands. Like this. I mimed the gesture, hands extended toward where Cassandra would have been sleeping. They weren't touching her, Ezra said slowly. They were pulling from a distance. Necromantic projection, I confirmed. Advanced technique. You channel death energy through the air itself, forming it into whatever shape you need. In this case, handprints that match mine. Can you do that? Kaya asked. No. I've never been able to control my power enough for anything that precise. I turned to face them. Whoever did this is trained. Skilled. And they've been practicing necromancy for years. In secret, Ezra added. Because necromancy has been illegal in Pack territory since the Purge. The Purge. 200 years ago. When the Packs decided necromancers were too dangerous to exist and hunted them to extinction. Or so they'd thought. There's a necromancer in your pack, I said. Someone who's been hiding for years. And for some reason, they want me blamed for their kills. But why kill these specific healers? Kaya pulled up her tablet again. What information did they have that's worth this? I looked at the room again. At the books on the desk. Moved closer. These are all about hybrid magic, I said, reading the titles. Combining different types of supernatural power. Creating new forms of energy. Cassandra was researching hybrid magic. Ezra peered over my shoulder. Not just researching. Look. I opened one of the books. Cassandra's notes were scrawled in the margins. Equations. Diagrams. Theories about combining wolf healing with necromantic energy. She was trying to understand what you did, Ezra breathed. How you saved me. And she figured something out. I flipped through more pages. She realized I'm not just a wolf with necromantic abilities. I'm a true hybrid. The first in centuries. What does that mean? Kaya demanded. Before I could answer, pain exploded through my skull. I stumbled, catching myself on the desk. The bond flared hot, then cold, then. I was somewhere else. Standing in a corridor. Watching a figure approach. The figure raised their hands. Black energy crackled between their fingers. They were coming for me. I slammed back to reality, gasping. What happened? Ezra caught me before I fell. Vision. Someone's coming. Someone with. The door exploded inward. A man stood in the doorway. Tall. Hooded. Power radiating from him in waves that made my teeth ache. Kaya moved fast, blade already in her hand. But the attacker was faster. Black energy shot from his palms, catching her mid-stride. She went down hard, not moving. Ezra roared, shifting partially, but the attacker hit him too. Ezra slammed into the wall and crumpled. Then the attacker turned to me. Hello, little hybrid. His voice was wrong. Layered. Like multiple people speaking at once. Time to die. He raised his hands. Black energy formed between them, shaped like hands. My hands. He was going to kill me with my own signature. Terror froze me. But underneath the terror, something else stirred. Something that had been waiting. The thing inside me. The darkness. The hunger. It rose like a tide. My power exploded outward with no conscious direction. The room filled with golden black energy. The attacker's spell shattered. He stumbled back, shock breaking through his confidence. And then I felt them. The dead. Not just the recently killed healers. All of them. Every person who died in this pack house over centuries. Their spirits lingered in the walls, the stones, the earth itself. And they answered my call. Shadows poured through the walls. Took shape. Became semi-solid figures with hollow eyes and reaching hands. The spirits of the dead, given form by my power. The attacker screamed. The spirits descended on him like wolves on prey. He fought, but there were too many. His hood fell back, revealing a face I recognized from the healing chamber. Gideon Ashworth. One of the 694. A healer who'd shown no particular skill or power. Who'd apparently been hiding what he really was. "Stop," he screamed. "I'll tell you everything. Just make them stop." I wanted to. Tried to pull the power back. But it wouldn't obey. The spirits kept coming. Kept pulling. I felt their hunger. Their desire to return to life, even for just a moment. And I felt my power feeding them. Giving them substance. Reality. Gideon's screams turned to gurgles. His life force was being drained. The same way he drained the healers. Poetic justice, maybe. But I didn't want to be a killer. "Lyra." Ezra's voice cut through the chaos. He was standing now, silver eyes blazing. "Focus on me. On our bond." I found his gaze. Locked onto it like an anchor. The bond pulsed. Warm. Alive. Real. I pulled on that warmth. Used it to drag myself back from the edge. The spirits slowed. Stopped. Faded back into the walls. Gideon collapsed, still alive but barely. I fell to my knees, shaking. Ezra was there immediately, arms around me. "I've got you. You're okay." "I almost killed him," I whispered. "But you didn't." He tilted my face up. "You stopped. You controlled it." "Barely. It's a start." He kissed my forehead. "And now we have our killer. Alive. Ready to talk." Kaya groaned, sitting up. "Did I miss the good part?" "You missed our mate revealing she can command an army of the dead," Ezra said dryly. "Damn." Kaya stood, wincing. "Should have watched that." Footsteps thundered in the corridor. Kieran appeared with a dozen guards. He took in the scene, the destruction, the barely conscious attacker, me in his son's arms. "Someone want to explain?" "We found your killer," Ezra said. "And proved Lyra's innocence. So you can cancel that execution." Kieran looked at Gideon. At me. At his son. "We need to talk," he said heavily. "All of us. Now." They convened the Pack Council in the Great Hall. Every major family represented. Every voice that mattered. I stood in the center of the room, Ezra at my side. Gideon was chained nearby, conscious now but silent. Morgana presided from the Luna's seat. Her face was carved from ice. "The evidence is clear," she began. "Gideon Ashworth has confessed to the murders. The necromancer who was framing Lyra Ashwood has been caught." Murmurs of relief from the crowd. "However," Morgana continued, "that doesn't absolve Ms. Ashwood of her own crimes. She is still a necromancer. Still dangerous. Still a threat to Pack law." The murmurs turned ugly. "I move for exile," Morgana said. "Immediate and permanent." "Denied." Ezra's voice rang clear. "I claim her as my mate. Under Pack law, she is protected." Gasps. Shocked whispers. "You cannot be serious," Morgana stood, fury radiating from her. "She is a necromancer. An abomination. The mate bond doesn't." "The mate bond is sacred," Kieran interrupted. His voice was tired but firm. "Even you cannot deny that, Morgana. Then I call for a vote. Let the council decide if we accept this union." "No vote necessary." Ezra stepped forward. "I'm claiming her publicly. Before witnesses. Under the old laws. Which means if you execute her, you execute me too. The mate bond ensures it." Silence. Heavy and terrible. "Ezra," Kieran said softly. "Do you understand what you're doing?" "Perfectly." Ezra held out his hand to me. "Lyra Ashwood. I claim you as my mate, my equal, my partner. I bind my life to yours. Your fate is mine. Your death is mine. From this moment forward, we are one. The formal words of the mating claim. Unbreakable. Irreversible. I stared at his hand. At the choice he was offering one final time. You'll die if they kill me, I whispered. Then don't let them kill you. He smiled. Take my hand, Lyra. Trust me one more time. I looked at the council. At their hatred. Their fear. Then I looked at Ezra. At his certainty. His faith. I took his hand. The bond exploded between us. Not cold. Not painful. Complete. The great hall filled with golden black light. Every wolf present felt it, the snap of a true mate bond forming. Unbreakable. Eternal. When the light faded, I could feel Ezra inside me. His heartbeat. His breath. His conviction. And he could feel me. All of me. Including the darkness. Well, Kaya said from the crowd. That's one way to piss off Mom. Someone laughed. Then another. The tension broke. Morgana sat down heavily, defeat written across her face. The mating is witnessed, Kieran announced. Under pack law, Lyra Ashwood is now under the protection of the Alpha heir. Any who harm her, harm him. Any who exile her, exile him. He looked at Gideon. But we still have questions. Starting with who sent you. Gideon smiled. Blood on his teeth. You really want to know? Yes. Fine. Gideon's eyes found mine. I was sent by someone who understands what she really is. What you've all welcomed into your pack like idiots. And what is she? Ezra demanded. The key. Gideon's smile widened. The first hybrid in centuries. Part wolf, part necromancer. She can bridge life and death. And together? He looked at Ezra. Together, with your ability to see death and her ability to control it, you two could challenge the moon goddess herself. The room went silent. Someone wants that power, Gideon continued. And they're willing to destroy this pack to get it. To get her. Who? Kieran's voice was deadly. Someone close. Gideon laughed. Someone you trust. Someone who's been playing you all from the beginning. Then his head snapped back. His eyes rolled white. Black energy poured from his mouth, his nose, his ears. Someone was killing him remotely. Silencing him before he could reveal more. Ezra lunged forward, but it was too late. Gideon Ashworth collapsed, dead before he hit the ground. And on his chest, burned into his skin, was a symbol I recognized. The mark of the Nightshade pack. Marcus's pack. My ex-mate was coming for me. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. We ran. Not because we were cowards. Because staying meant dying, and dying meant letting whoever was pulling the strings win. Ezra moved through the pack house like he'd planned this escape for years. Maybe he had. Maybe some part of him had always known it would come to this, choosing between his pack and his mate. He chose me. Kaya led the way, her warrior instincts mapping the safest route. We avoided the main corridors, sticking to servant passages I'd forgotten existed. Behind us, I could hear the chaos, shouting, running footsteps, Kieran's voice bellowing orders. They'll close the borders, Kaya said as we emerged into the night air. We have maybe 10 minutes before every exit is sealed. Then we don't use the exits. Ezra grabbed my hand, pulling me toward the eastern woods. We go through the old territory. The parts they don't patrol anymore. That's rogue country, Kaya protested. Exactly. They won't expect it. We hit the tree line at a full run. My wolf surged forward, begging to shift, to run properly. But Ezra squeezed my hand, holding me human. Not yet. They'll track our wolf scent too easily. We stay human until we're clear. So we ran on two legs, crashing through underbrush, dodging trees in the darkness. Behind us, howls rose into the night. The pack, mobilizing. Hunting. My lungs burned. My legs screamed. But the bond drove me forward, tying my pace to Ezra's, our steps synchronized like we'd been running together for years instead of days. There. Kaya pointed ahead. The old shrine. We can hide there, catch our breath. The shrine was a ruin from before the Silvercrest pack claimed this territory. Ancient stone, half collapsed, covered in moss and vines. We ducked inside just as more howls split the night, closer now. They're spreading out, Ezra said, peering through a crack in the wall. Probably have 100 wolves combing these woods. Then we can't stay here. I was already moving toward the back of the shrine. There has to be another way out. Lyra, wait. But I'd found it. A hole in the floor, half hidden by debris. Stone steps leading down into darkness. Old tunnel system, Kaya breathed. From when this was sacred ground. They used to run for miles. Or they collapsed 50 years ago and will be buried alive, Ezra countered. Another howl. Much closer. I'll take my chances with the tunnel. I was already descending. They followed. The tunnels were exactly as terrible as I'd expected, narrow, damp, pitch black. We used Kaya's phone as a flashlight, the weak glow barely penetrating the darkness. But they were intact. And they led away from the pack house, which was all that mattered. We walked for an hour in silence, listening for sounds of pursuit. When none came, Ezra finally stopped. We need to talk. About what Gideon said. About the Nightshade pack mark. I'd been dreading this conversation. Marcus wouldn't. Marcus is Alpha now, Ezra interrupted. And Alphas do terrible things when their packs are threatened. You know that. I did. I'd seen it. Lived it. Tell us everything, Kaya said. The real story. Not the sanitized version you gave before. We need to understand what we're up against. So I told them. Not about Marcus and the rejection, they knew that part. I went deeper. Back to when I was 12. Back to the night everything changed. I wasn't born in Omega, I began. That happened later. I was actually an Alpha's daughter. Firstborn of the Ashwood clan. Ezra's hand found mine in the darkness. Squeezed. The Ashwood clan was small. Maybe 50 wolves total. But we had something other packs didn't, the Mortem Gate. The what? Kaya asked. A supernatural barrier between life and death. It's been in my family for generations. Some ancestor made a deal with something powerful, something old. In exchange for protecting the gate, we were given the power to walk between worlds. To touch death without dying. Necromancy, Ezra said quietly. The foundation of it, yes. But it was controlled. Regulated. My mother was the gatekeeper. She could open the gate in times of need, allow spirits to pass through for counsel or closure. But she never lost control. Never let anything dangerous cross over. I closed my eyes, seeing it again. The night that destroyed everything. Rogues came. 20 of them, maybe more. They'd heard stories about the gate. Wanted its power for themselves. They thought if they killed the gatekeeper and took her place, they could control death itself. Your mother, Kaya breathed. She fought. We all did. But they were too strong, too organized. They cornered her in the gate chamber, the sacred space where the barrier was thinnest. I followed her down there, trying to help. My voice cracked. I was 12. I thought I was brave. Thought I could make a difference. Ezra's arm came around me. I leaned into his strength. My mother knew she was dying. Knew they'd breach the gate if she fell. So she did the only thing she could. I pulled up my sleeve, showing scars they hadn't noticed before. Older ones, beneath the rejection burns. She transferred the gate's power into me. Made me the new keeper. It was supposed to go to her when she came of age, with training, preparation. But we didn't have time. So she forced it, Ezra said. All at once. The power nearly destroyed me. I screamed. Thrashed. My wolf tried to reject it, but the magic was too strong. It rewrote me at a fundamental level. Changed my rank, my scent, my abilities. I met their eyes. The Ashwood clan's alpha daughter died that night. An Omega with cursed hands was born. What happened to the rogues? Kaya asked. The gate opened. Just for a moment. Long enough for something to come through. Something old and hungry. I shuddered. It killed them all. Tore them apart. Then it turned on what was left of my pack. Jesus, Ezra whispered. I don't remember much after that. Just screaming. Fire. My mother's body growing cold in my arms. When I woke up, I was alone. The gate chamber was collapsed. The mortem gate was sealed. And I was the only Ashwood left alive. Silence in the tunnel. Heavy with the weight of old horrors. I was found by a traveling pack. They took me in, tried to help. But my power was unstable. Every time I tried to heal someone, I accidentally pulled life from death. Killed when I meant to cure. They called me cursed and sent me away. To the Nightshade Pack, Ezra filled in. Where I met Marcus. Who made me believe I could be normal. That the curse could be controlled. I laughed bitterly. I was so desperate to believe him. So desperate to have someone see me as more than a monster. He used you, Kaya said flatly. Maybe. Or maybe he really did care, at first. It doesn't matter now. He rejected me. I ran. And I've been running ever since. I looked at Ezra. Until you. He pulled me close, pressing his forehead to mine. No more running. We face this together. Together might not be enough. Kaya held up her phone, showing a news alert. The Nightshade Pack just crossed into Silvercrest territory. Kieran's mobilizing to meet them. This is about to become a war. Why would Marcus risk that? I asked. Because he's desperate, a new voice said. We spun. A figure emerged from the shadows ahead, tall, lean, dressed in black tactical gear. Male, maybe 30, with eyes that glowed faintly gold in the darkness. Kaya's blade was out instantly. Who the hell are you? Easy, warrior. The man raised his hands. I'm with the Requiem Order. Name's Tobias. And I'm here to help. The Requiem Order? Ezra's voice went cold. The group that's been killing healers? The group that's been trying to stop what's coming, Tobias corrected. We've been investigating the rituals someone orchestrated. The 694 healers weren't random, Alpha Air. They were specifically summoned. By who? I demanded. Someone who knew exactly what needed to happen to wake your true power. Someone who understood that Ezra's death, temporary but complete, would trigger the dormant necromancer abilities locked inside you by the mortem gate. My blood went cold. That's impossible. No one knows about the gate. My pack is dead. Not everyone. Tobias pulled out a tablet, swiping through files. We traced the communications that summoned those 694 healers. They came from inside the Silvercrest pack. From someone with access to ancient texts about the Ashwood clan. About the gatekeepers. Who? Ezra growled. We're still. An explosion of sound cut him off. Howls. Close. Too close. They found us, Kaya hissed. No. Tobias's face went pale. That's not Silvercrest wolves. That's. Wolves poured into the tunnel from both directions. At least 30 of them, moving with military precision. And at the center, shifting from wolf to human in a ripple of power, was Marcus. He looked different. Older. Harder. The boy I'd known was gone, replaced by an alpha who'd learned to make impossible choices. Hello, Lyra. His voice echoed off the stone walls. Did you really think you could run from me? Ezra moved in front of me. She's mine now. The bond is complete. You have no claim. Doesn't matter. Marcus smiled, and it was nothing like the smile I remembered. I'm not here for the bond. I'm here for what she is. The gatekeeper, I said quietly. Smart girl. Always were. He took a step forward. His wolves followed. My pack is dying, Lyra. Some kind of curse eating us from the inside out. Sound familiar? It did. Too familiar. The same thing that killed your father, I breathed. Turns out, when you reject a gatekeeper, there are consequences. Who knew? His voice was bitter. I've lost 50 wolves in 5 years. Good people. Children. All because I was too scared to accept what you were. So you came to take her power by force? Ezra's voice was deadly. Is that what an alpha does? An alpha does whatever it takes to save his pack. Marcus's eyes met mine. I won't force you. I'm asking. Please. Come back. Help us. You're the only one who can break this curse. She's not going anywhere with you. Ezra's hand found mine. Then we have a problem. Marcus signaled. His wolves spread out, blocking every exit. Because I'm not leaving without her. Neither am I, a new voice said. Everyone turned. Kaya stood with her blade lowered. And she wasn't looking at Marcus. She was looking at Tobias. Tell them, she said quietly. Tell them the truth. Tobias sighed. Kaya. Tell them, or I will. Silence. Tense. Waiting. Finally, Tobias spoke. Kaya's been working with the Requiem Order for 2 years. Ever since she discovered the truth about what was happening to Ezra. What? Ezra's voice was barely audible. Kaya's expression was unreadable. I knew someone was poisoning you. Knew it was slow, deliberate. But I couldn't prove it. Couldn't find the source. So I reached out to people who specialize in forbidden magic. The Order, I said. We're not monsters, Tobias cut in. We're researchers. Historians. We study the old magics to prevent them from being misused. When Kaya came to us with evidence that someone was using Wolfsbane Requiem, we knew we had to act. By killing healers? Ezra demanded. We didn't kill them. We tried to protect them. But we were too late. Kaya's voice was rough. Someone was systematically eliminating anyone who understood what they were trying to do. Which was what, exactly? I asked. Create the perfect vessel. Tobias pulled up another file. The 694 healers weren't just treating Ezra. They were conducting a ritual. Each one contributed a piece of knowledge, a word, a gesture, a specific energy signature. Combined, they created a spell designed to break the Mortem Gates lock on your power. By using Ezra's death as the key, Kaya finished. His temporary death triggered your necromancer abilities. But someone planned it that way. Someone knew exactly what would happen. Your mother, Marcus said quietly. We all turned to stare at him. What did you say? Ezra's voice was dangerous. Luna Morgana. Marcus pulled out his own tablet. We've been tracking her communications. She's been in contact with someone from the old Ashwood territory. Someone who knew about the gate. About Lyra. That's insane, Ezra said. Why would my mother? Because she's not your mother. Not anymore. Tobias swiped through security footage. Look at her eyes. There. And there. See the shadow? I leaned closer. In certain frames, Morgana's eyes weren't quite right. There was something behind them. Something looking out. Possession, I whispered. By a necromancer queen named Calandra, Tobias confirmed. She was trapped in the Mortem Gate 300 years ago after trying to conquer the supernatural world. The Ashwood clan sealed her away. But seals weaken over time. Especially when the gatekeeper is a traumatized 12-year-old who didn't know what she was doing, I said bitterly. Calandra's been possessing Morgana slowly. Taking her over piece by piece. Using her position to orchestrate this entire thing. Kaya's jaw was tight. She poisoned Ezra. Summoned the healers. Drew you here. All so she could activate your power and use you to break free completely. Where is she now? Ezra demanded. That's the problem. Tobias's face was grim. We lost track of her an hour ago. Right around the time you escaped. A feeling of dread washed over me. Cold. Certain. She's not coming for me, I said. I came to her. What do you mean? Marcus asked. The tunnels. How did you find us so quickly? How did you know where we'd be? Understanding dawned on their faces. She led us here, Ezra breathed. She wanted everyone in one place. As if summoned by his words, the tunnel shook. Stone dust rained from the ceiling. And a voice, ancient, layered, wrong, echoed from everywhere and nowhere. Clever children. But too late. The tunnel collapsed in both directions, cutting us off from escape. And standing in the rubble, backlit by an unnatural purple glow, was Morgana. Except her eyes were completely black now. Her voice was layered with something old and hungry. And her hands crackled with necromantic energy that made my own power recoil in recognition. Hello, little gatekeeper. Calandra Morgana smiled with too many teeth. I've been waiting for you to come home. She moved fast. Faster than possible. 1 second she was 20 feet away. The next, her hand was around my throat, lifting me off the ground. Lyra. Ezra lunged, but black tendrils of energy shot from Morgana's free hand, wrapping around him. Around Kaya. Around Marcus and his wolves. Around Tobias. Everyone frozen. Trapped. The ritual is ready, Calandra Morgana purred. The 694 did their part. The gatekeeper is awake. And now, I will merge with you completely. Your body. Your power. Your connection to the Mortem Gate. She pressed her forehead to mine. Pain exploded through my skull. I felt her. The ancient queen. Clawing her way into my mind, my soul, trying to take over. When we are one, she whispered, the Mortem Gate will open. And my army, 10,000 strong, waiting for 3 centuries, will finally be free. Images flooded my vision. An undead army. Skeletal warriors with burning eyes. Ancient necromancers given form again. All waiting beyond the gate. Waiting for their queen to return. Waiting to conquer. Fight her. Ezra's voice, distant through the bond. Lyra, fight. But I couldn't. She was too strong. Too old. Too practiced at taking what she wanted. My vision darkened. My thoughts scattered. I felt myself slipping away, becoming nothing, as Calandra took everything. And then we were gone. Morgana Calandra vanished with me in a burst of black energy. The last thing I heard was Ezra screaming my name. Then nothing but darkness. And in that darkness, an ancient queen smiled. Almost there, little one. Almost free. Somewhere distant, I felt stone walls. Heard chanting. Smelled death. The ritual had begun. And I was powerless to stop it. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 5. I woke to the smell of old death and older magic. The chamber was carved from black stone, lit by torches that burned with purple flames. Symbols covered every surface, necromantic sigils I recognized from my mother's journals. From the gate chamber that had been my childhood home. I was bound to an altar. Silver chains wrapped around my wrists, my ankles, my throat. They hummed with enchantments designed to suppress my power. Not that it mattered. Calandra was inside me now. I could feel her thoughts tangling with mine, her memories bleeding into my consciousness. 300 years of rage and hunger and desperate need for freedom. Awake already? Morgana's body moved into view, but it was Calandra looking out through those black eyes. Good. I want you conscious for this. Want you to feel what it's like when I take everything. Where are we? My voice came out rough. Home. She gestured to the chamber. Or close enough. We're in the old necropolis beneath Silvercrest territory. The place where the Mortem Gate was first created. Where your ancestor made her bargain with death itself. I tested the chains. They held firm. Don't bother. Calandra traced a finger down my face. Those chains were forged specifically to bind gatekeepers. Your mother wore them once, during her initiation. Did she ever tell you about that? She hadn't. There was so much she hadn't told me. The ritual is simple, Calandra continued. I merge completely with you. Take your body, your power, your connection to the gate. Then I open it. Release my army. And finally, after 3 centuries of imprisonment, I will have my revenge on the pacts that dared to seal me away. You'll destroy everything. I'll rebuild. Better. Stronger. She smiled. The age of wolves is over. The age of necromancers returns. You're insane. I'm patient. She turned to a table covered in ritual implements. And I'm done talking. She began to chant. The words were old. Ancient. They made my bones ache and my power writhe. I felt the Mortem Gate stirring, responding to the call. And I felt Calandra's presence in my mind growing stronger. Taking up more space. Pushing me into a smaller and smaller corner of my own consciousness. Ezra, I thought desperately into the bond. If you can hear me. Nothing. Just silence. Either the chains were blocking the connection, or... No. I refused to think it. He was alive. He had to be alive. I pulled on the bond with everything I had. And finally, faintly, I felt him. Lyra. Hold on. We're coming. Relief flooded through me. Then terror. No. Don't. It's a trap. She wants you here. But the connection faded, swallowed by Calandra's magic. The ancient queen laughed. Oh, I'm counting on them coming. I want an audience when I ascend. Want them to see what their precious gatekeeper becomes. Ezra. The tunnel collapse had bought us time. Not much, but enough. I clawed through the rubble with my bare hands, my wolf howling for its mate. The bond pulled me forward, a golden thread in the darkness leading straight to Lyra. There. Marcus appeared beside me, his warriors already shifting. We can dig through here. We worked in silence, united by necessity. Behind us, Kaya coordinated with Tobias, pulling up maps of the old necropolis on his tablet. According to the Order's records, there are 3 entrances, Kaya said. But only one will take us directly to the ritual chamber. Then that's where we go. I hauled another boulder aside. How long do we have? Based on the energy readings? Tobias's face was grim. Maybe an hour before the ritual completes. After that, the Mortem Gate opens. And 10,000 undead warriors flood into our world. Then we move faster. Ezra. My father's voice cut through the chaos. We need to talk. I turned. Kieran stood flanked by 24 Silvercrest warriors. For a moment, I thought he'd come to stop us. To drag me back for abandoning the pack. Instead, he knelt. I was wrong, he said simply. About Lyra. About the mate bond. About everything. He looked up, and I saw the father I remembered from childhood, strong, proud, but capable of admitting mistakes. Your mate is Pack. Which means we fight for her. The Silvercrest warriors knelt in unison. Then, one by one, Marcus's Nightshade wolves joined them. Finally, healers emerged from the shadows. Not all 694, many had fled after Gideon's death. But enough. Maybe 60, led by Isadora herself. We helped create this mess, the head healer said stiffly. We'll help end it. I looked at them. At the impossible alliance Lyra had created just by existing. Wolf packs that should have been enemies, standing together. Then let's go get her back. The necropolis was a maze of tunnels and chambers carved from black stone. Ancient. Wrong. Every step deeper made my wolf want to turn back, to run, to escape this place of death. But the bond pulled me forward. We split into 3 groups. Kieran took the main force through the central entrance. Marcus and his elite warriors went through the eastern passage. And I led a smaller strike team, Kaya, Tobias, and 5 of our best fighters, through the most dangerous route. The one that went straight to the ritual chamber. We moved in silence, weapons drawn. The tunnels were empty, which worried me more than if they'd been guarded. Calandra wanted us here. Wanted us to watch. There, Kaya whispered, pointing ahead. Light. We approached carefully. The tunnel opened into a massive chamber, the ritual site. And in the center, bound to an altar, was Lyra. My wolf surged forward. I barely held it back. Morgana Calandra stood over Lyra, chanting in a language that hurt to hear. Black energy poured from her hands into Lyra's chest. And Lyra was changing. Her skin had taken on a grayish pallor. Her eyes, when they opened, were flickering between brown and black. The possession was nearly complete. Now, I signaled. We burst from the tunnel. Tobias threw some kind of disruption charm. The purple flames guttered. The chanting faltered. Calandra spun, fury written across Morgana's stolen face. You dare. I didn't let her finish. I shifted mid-leap, my wolf form crashing into her body. We tumbled across the stone floor, claws and fangs seeking purchase. But she was strong. Impossibly strong. Power that shouldn't exist in a wolf's body. She threw me off. I hit the wall hard enough to crack stone. Foolish boy. Calandra stood, dusting off Morgana's clothes. Did you really think you could stop me? I've been planning this for 3 centuries. Every variable accounted for. Every possibility considered. Except us. Kaya was at the altar, working on Lyra's chains. You didn't account for family. Family is weakness. Calandra raised her hands. Black energy gathered. Let me show you. The blast caught Kaya square in the chest. She flew backward, hitting the ground and not moving. Kaya. I scrambled toward her. But Tobias was already there, checking for a pulse. His face when he looked up told me everything. She's alive. Barely. But this magic, it's the same poison that nearly killed you, Ezra. Concentrated. Lethal. No. I crawled to my sister's side. No, no, no. Kaya's eyes fluttered open. Blood trickled from her mouth. Took a dose. Months ago. Wanted to understand it. Been dying ever since. Why didn't you tell me? Because you would have tried to save me. She smiled weakly. Not how I wanted to go. Watching from the sidelines. You're not going anywhere. We'll get you a healer. No time. She gripped my hand. The ritual. Stop her. Save Lyra. And maybe. She coughed. More blood. Maybe she can bring me back. If she wants to. Kaya. But her eyes closed. Her hand went limp. My sister. My pack. My family. Gone. Rage like I'd never felt before consumed me. I turned to face Calandra, and my vision went red. I'm going to kill you. Get in line. My father's voice echoed through the chamber. The main force poured in, Kieran at the lead. Behind him, Marcus and the Nightshade warriors. We had numbers. We had strength. We had everything we needed to win. Except Calandra just laughed. Perfect. All the pieces, right where I need them. She gestured. The symbols on the walls began to glow. You think you're here to save her? You're here to power the ritual. Every death in this chamber feeds the gate. Every drop of blood spilled makes it easier to open. Then we don't fight. Kieran moved forward slowly, his hands raised. Morgana. I know you're in there. I know you can hear me. Calandra's expression flickered. The Luna is gone, Alpha. Accept it. No. Kieran stepped closer. 30 years of marriage. 3 children. 1,000 shared moments. You don't disappear that easily. Kieran, Calandra's voice wavered. For just a second, Morgana's brown eyes showed through the black. Kieran, run. She's too strong. I can't. Fight her. Kieran was close enough to touch now. Fight, Morgana. Come back to me. I can't. Morgana's voice, fully her own now, raw with desperation. She's too deep. Too powerful. I've been fighting for months, and I'm losing. Then stop fighting. Kieran pulled a knife from his belt. Silver. Blessed. Let me end this. What? Morgana/Calandra stared at the blade. If I kill this body, the possession ends. Calandra has no vessel. She goes back to the gate. Kieran's hand shook, but his voice was steady. You taught me that. Remember? When we were young, and you were studying ancient magic. You said possession only works with a living host. You can't. Morgana's eyes filled with tears. I'm your mate. And I'm your alpha. My duty is to protect the pack. Even from you. He raised the knife. I love you. I've loved you since we were children. And I will love you in whatever comes next. Kieran. Enough. Calandra surged forward, taking control again. You will not. But Kieran was faster. The blade flashed. And stopped. I caught his wrist. Held it firm. There's another way, I said. Lyra. The ritual was nearly complete. I could feel it, my consciousness shrinking, Calandra's expanding. Soon there would be nothing left of me. Just her, wearing my skin, wielding my power. The mortem gate groaned. Opening. I felt spirits pressing against it from the other side. Thousands of them. Waiting. Hungry. Ezra. I reached for the bond one last time. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. His voice came through clear. Strong. Look at me. My eyes, the parts one still controlled, found him. Standing in the chamber. silver eyes blazing with that death-sight ability. And he was smiling. "I can see her," he said. "The ancient queen. Not the possession, her actual spirit." "Impossible," Calandra hissed through my mouth. "You're already dead." Ezra moved closer. "Have been for 3 centuries. You're just a ghost refusing to move on. A death mark that won't fade. I am eternal. Nothing is eternal." Ezra's eyes met mine. "But we can end this. Together. Use our combined power to give her what she's been running from." Understanding flooded through me. Through the bond. Through the connection that made us one. The final death. "Do it," I whispered with the last of my voice. "Whatever it takes. End her." Ezra nodded. Placed his hands on either side of my face. And I felt it. His death sight connecting with my necromancer power. 2 sides of the same coin finally united. We saw her. Not Calandra the queen. Calandra the woman. Young. Scared. Dying from a betrayal 300 years past. Clinging to existence because she couldn't accept the end. "It's time," Ezra said gently. "Time to rest." "No." Calandra fought. Clawed. Struggled. But together, we were stronger. We pulled her spirit free from Morgana's body. Free from the Mortem Gate. Free from the rage and hunger that had sustained her. She materialized before us, translucent, fading, but finally visible. "I was a queen," she whispered. "I was powerful. I was human," I finished. "And humans die. It's not a weakness. It's just truth. But my army. My revenge. Everything I planned. Is over." Ezra's voice was firm but not unkind. "You lost that war centuries ago. It's time to accept it." Calandra looked at us. At the life we'd built despite impossible odds. At the love that had saved us both. And something in her ancient eyes softened. "You would have made a good queen," she told me. Then, to Ezra, "And you a worthy opponent." She smiled. A real smile, not the twisted thing we'd seen before. Perhaps, rest would be welcome. We guided her spirit toward the light. The true afterlife. The place where all spirits eventually go. But as she faded, the Mortem Gate groaned louder. It was opening. The army was coming through. The ritual. Tobias shouted. "It's still active." We stopped Calandra, but the gate is still opening. He was right. I could feel it. The tear between worlds growing wider. Spirits flooding through. And there was only one way to stop it. "The gate needs balance," I said. Calandra said it herself. To end one life pulled from death, another must take its place. "No." Ezra's eyes widened. "Lyra, no. It's not me." I looked at the Mortem Gate. At the power I'd carried since I was 12 years old. The curse. The gift. The burden. I can close it permanently. Seal it from the inside. But it means giving up the gatekeeper power. All of it. Forever. "Do it," Kieran said immediately. "But you'll just be," Marcus started. "An Omega." "I know." I met Ezra's eyes. "Is that enough for you? An ordinary Omega with no special power?" He pulled me close. "You've never been ordinary. Power or no power." I kissed him. One last time as a necromancer. Then I turned to face the Mortem Gate. I placed my scarred hands on the rift. Felt the power of generations flowing through me. All the gatekeepers who'd come before. All the ones who'd given their lives to protect this barrier. "I'm sorry," I told them. "But it's time to rest." I pulled. Not life from death like I'd done before. The opposite. I pulled the gate into myself. Collapsed it inward. Sealed every crack, every weakness, every possible entrance. And then I locked it. With the only key that mattered. My power. The necromancer abilities burned away. The connection to death severed. The curse that had defined me for 13 years simply ended. Pain like I'd never felt before consumed me. I screamed. Thrashed. Felt myself being ripped apart and remade. But Ezra was there. Holding me. Anchoring me. I've got you. I've got you. I've got you. When it finally stopped, I opened my eyes. Brown. Just brown. No flicker of black. No hint of necromantic power. Is it done? Kieran asked. I nodded. The mortem gate is closed. Permanently. Nothing can open it again. Because it didn't exist anymore. Not as a separate entity. I'd collapsed it into nothingness, taking my power with it. Around the chamber, people were stirring. Morgana sat up, gasping, her eyes brown and clear and her own. The healers who'd been frozen by Calandra's magic moved again. And Kaya. Kaya's eyes opened. Did we win? She rasped. We won, I confirmed. The aftermath took days to sort out. Morgana stepped down as Luna. She was broken, traumatized by months of possession. Kieran stood by her, helped her heal. But she couldn't lead anymore. Couldn't face the pack that had watched her nearly destroy everything. So Ezra stepped up. At 19, he became Alpha in waiting. With Kieran's support and the pack's grudging acceptance. Marcus released our broken bond formally, before both packs. I was a coward, he said simply. I rejected you to protect myself. And I've regretted it every day since. You deserved better. You still do. He left with his warriors. But not as an enemy. As an ally. A friend. The healers, what remained of the 694, went their separate ways. But Isadora stayed long enough to examine me. You're completely ordinary now, she confirmed. No special abilities. No necromantic signature. Just a healthy Omega wolf. Good, I said. And meant it. 2 weeks after the battle, Ezra stood before the assembled packs, Silvercrest, Nightshade, and several others who'd heard the story. And he performed the mating ceremony. Not the quick, private claiming from before. The full ritual. Public. Binding. Unbreakable. Lyra Ashwood, he said, his voice carrying across the clearing. I claim you as my mate. My equal. My Luna. Not for your power. Not for what you can do. But for who you are. I took his hand. Ezra Silvercrest. I accept your claim. I bind my life to yours. Your fate is mine. Your future is mine. From this moment forward, we are one. The ceremony was beautiful. Traditional. Everything I'd thought I'd never have. And when it was over, when we stood together as Alpha and Luna, I felt something shift inside me. Not the mortem gate. That was gone. Something else. Something new. 1 month later, I woke up nauseous. Ezra was already awake, watching me with those silver eyes that still saw death but chose to focus on life. Are you okay? He asked. I don't know. I sat up carefully. I feel different. Different how? I placed a hand on my stomach. Felt the flutter that wasn't quite movement yet. And saw. No. It couldn't be. A faint golden black glow beneath my skin. Pulsing in time with a heartbeat that wasn't mine. Ezra. My voice shook. I think I'm pregnant. Joy lit his face. Then concern as he saw my expression. That's good, right? We talked about wanting children eventually. Look. I showed him my stomach. The glow. He stared. Then placed his hand over mine. The Mortem Gate's power, he breathed. It didn't disappear. It transformed. Passed to the next generation. No. I pulled away, panic rising. No, not again. I can't, I won't let our child go through what I went through. The curse, the fear, the isolation. Hey. Ezra cupped my face. Look at me. I did. Found calm in his silver gaze. This isn't your mother's story, he said firmly. This is ours. Our child. Our choice how to raise them. And whatever power they inherit, they won't face it alone. They'll have parents who understand. A pack that accepts them. A family that loves them. But. No buts. He kissed me softly. We spent so long running from what we are. What we can do. Maybe it's time to stop running. Time to show this child, and the world, that power doesn't have to be a curse. I placed my hand over his on my stomach. Felt the glow pulse warmly. And for the first time since I was 12 years old, I felt something I'd thought was lost forever. Hope. Together? I whispered. Always, Ezra promised. The glow pulsed again. Stronger. Like the baby could hear us. Like they were already fighting to exist. And I made a choice. Not to run. Not to fear. Not to reject what was coming. To embrace it. To face it. To transform it into something better. Okay, I said. Let's do this. Ezra smiled. Pulled me close. And together, we faced the uncertain future. The Mortem Gate was closed. The ancient queen was gone. The curse was ended. But life, messy, complicated, beautiful life, went on. And we would face it. Together. As mates. As alphas. As parents. As pack. The end. Or is it? In the nursery that would one day belong to the alpha heir, shadows moved. Not threatening. Just watching. Waiting. The Mortem Gate was closed. But death never truly ends. It just changes form. And this child, this impossible, powerful, blessed child, would grow up knowing both sides of that truth. The living. And the dead. But that, as they say, is a story for another time. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.